All right, thank you so much, Jamie. As we mentioned, we are following the threat of severe weather tonight. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for parts of our area. Let's go ahead and take this full so you can see exactly where I'm talking about. Our tornado warning includes portions of looking at Berks County and also Lehigh County. This just came a couple of minutes ago. I'll read the warning that just came into our system. At 6:15 Eastern Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Kutztown, or 15 miles northeast of Reading, moving east at 30 miles per hour. This particular tornado warning, again, is over northeastern Berks County, also into central Lehigh County. So this has been radar confirmed at this point, which means that nobody has visually spotted this tornado from the public, but anybody in the path of this severe thunderstorm will want to seek shelter right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put up some tornado safety tips just as I get some more information from the National Weather Service. And we've had a couple of different outbreaks of severe weather recently here. What you want to do is make sure you're getting into your safe location. That would be a basement. That's the best place that you can be. A closet or an interior hallway if you don't have a basement. And what you really want to do is make sure that you're avoiding all windows, any kind of glass that could break with a possible tornado. Stay indoors and stay there and protect yourself under a sturdy object until that tornado threat is no longer there. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the severe thunderstorm warning, or the severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. So just bear with me here as our radar products start to populate in the system. We'll go ahead and switch this into our 30-minute loop here. And this will just show you the progression of that thunderstorm, that severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. So we're looking at areas here right around Kutztown, also into areas such as Weisenberg. This is the same area that actually had a tornado warning earlier this week. Greenwich Township, also the area around Kempville, East Fogelsville, Long Swamp, and also Lower Macungie. Those are a couple of the communities that are in the path of this severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. This cell is moving east at 30 miles per hour. So what we can go ahead and do here, I'm going to put this on our current radar view, which kind of just pauses the actual radar frame. And we're going to put a tracker on this. I know I read off a couple of different communities. We'll see if we can get a few more to populate. Again, this is moving east at 30 miles per hour. So I'm going to measure this out for you here. And hopefully we can get a few more towns. Okay, there you go. Our time right now is 6:21. So if I read your town, this is when the worst of this system will be moving into your area. So 6:29 in Eagle Point, Weisenberg, 6:33. The next town on the list, 6:36. Upper Macungie at 6:44, Ancient Oaks at 6:47, and then we're looking at 6:50 Eastern Time, and that is in Lower Macungie. So right now I'm looking at the chat from the National Weather Service, and they're saying that they have video of a funnel right now from a spotter, but it's unclear if a tornado is on the ground. This storm has a history in State College, in the State College area, of producing a tornado, and it's been cycling as it's been moving east. So what they're basically saying is that this particular storm cell has had the history of producing a tornado, and although a funnel cloud has been spotted, nothing has actually come down to the ground. So a lot of times you have these scenarios where you get quick spin-ups where they produce a tornado at the surface, they go back up, and then they come back down as they continue to work their way a little bit farther downstream. So I'll take a look at a couple of different radar products here. Unfortunately, toward the Lehigh Valley, that falls outside of the Mount Holly office area. So I'll see if I can switch a couple of different radar velocities. All right, unfortunately, it doesn't look like this product wants to work here. So what I'm trying to do right now is to see if we can get any look at the actual rotation in the atmosphere. Unfortunately, I think this is kind of one of the areas in our viewing area where it kind of falls between radar sites, so I'm unable to look at that particular product right now. We'll see if we can get it to populate here. All right, unfortunately it's not showing, but I'll keep trying with that. Let's just reiterate where the tornado warning is right now. If you're just joining us here on 6 ABC, unfortunately we had to wrap Jamie up a little quickly because the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning into Berks County and also into Lehigh County. This has been radar indicated, but this storm, according to the National Weather Service, they do have video of a funnel that has been spotted by somebody on the public. So we need to make sure that anybody living in the path of this storm is seeking shelter right now. So we'll put a loop on this once again so you can see the progress that this storm is making here. So the main core area that we're looking at, we mentioned Kutztown not too long ago. I'm trying to put some extra streets on here just if this gives you perspective. Greenwich Township, Weisenberg, Maxitawny, north of Lyons, Long Swamp. I mean, at this point, Kutztown is the biggest community within this tornado warning. So we're looking at areas like Kutztown Road, Burkholder Lane, Topton Road, State Street, Newtown Road. And again, this moves its way east into parts of Lehigh County. So you get into Upper Macungie there. We're looking at Clausville Road, Kernsville Road, Huckleberry Road, Chapman's Road, Centronia Road, Lower Macungie, also Upper Milford. So again, we are watching this storm cell that has prompted the National Weather Service to issue a tornado warning into Berks County and also into Lehigh County. I'm going to take a look at a couple of different products here. At this point, I'm not seeing any reports of hail within this storm cell. So we're not seeing anything such as that. Not even really seeing a lot of lightning associated with this, but this storm, again, has had a history of producing at least a funnel cloud that has been reported to the National Weather Service. So looking at a couple of other different products right now, we've been talking about our dew points. You can see the rainfall rates, all of the extra moisture that's in the atmosphere today, making for a very challenging situation for anybody that might be in the path of this storm. We're looking at rainfall rates over an inch per hour that's moving with this cell to the east into parts of Lehigh County at this point. I'm going to put the tornado warning back up as we're getting some more information from the National Weather Service. So we'll go ahead and populate that once again. Just bear with me here. Okay, so the National Weather Service is continuing the tornado warning until 6:45. So we'll go ahead and click the latest update. And just bear with me here. I'm running two computers by myself right now. So I could use another hand if I had one. So if there's any pauses in between my talking, it's just because I'm trying to read and navigate a secondary computer. So at 6:25, about a minute ago, the National Weather Service remains that tornado warning. So that tornado warning remains in effect until 6:45 for northeastern Berks and central Lehigh counties. At 6:24 Eastern time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located right over Kutztown, or 14 miles west of Allentown, moving east at 20 miles per hour. The source within this tornado warning says that weather spotters reported a funnel cloud at 6:18. And that's when they received video from somebody in the public here. So if you happen to know somebody that might be traveling today, we're looking at Interstate 78 in Pennsylvania between mile markers 42 and 57, and then also the northeast extension between mile markers 50 and also 60. So we will go ahead and put another tracker on this. Let me put this on the latest radar frame here. And we know that this cell is moving east at 20 miles per hour. The latest update had this right over Kutztown. So let me try and find that on here. So Kutztown's right here. We'll put a tracker on that. And this is moving due east at 20 miles per hour. I'm going to kind of judge this with just kind of my expertise, moving this a little bit farther to the north and east, just because that's where we're seeing more of the reflectivity colors. So Kutztown at this point now, I hope if you're listening, you're in your safe location. This storm, the worst of it is right over you, 6:28. That's the current timestamp. We're looking at Hinterleader at 6:36, Chauffeur at 6:39, 6:43 in Maxitawny, and then Upper Macungie at 6:57. And one of the local storm reports that just came in reported that the funnel cloud that was spotted by somebody was 2 miles west of Hartsville, which is in Berks County. And the live video that the National Weather Service received had a funnel cloud in this location looking east. So that's why this tornado warning continues. With the funnel cloud, it means that there was a lowering of the cloud in the sky that came down, but there was no report that that funnel actually touched the ground, creating that tornado. That would be the case if there was a tornado on the ground.
Brittany, I want to jump in really quick right here. What is the difference then between something that forms up in the clouds and doesn't actually touch down? Is it still a tornado or just one that hasn't touched down? You know what I mean?
It's basically one that hasn't touched down. So with the funnel, you have the lowering from the cloud deck, but there is no point-to-point contact with that funnel cloud and at the surface. So we're not getting any reports of a tornado that's on the ground in progress that could be in the path of somebody's home. But as I mentioned earlier, these storms have had a history of producing tornadoes in central Pennsylvania. So a lot of times in this situation, you get what we call brief spin-ups. They come down and then they come back up. And these particular cells can travel downstream or farther east, which they have been for us. And then that's when you can get the lowering once again in the storm.
So I'm asking this as a novice, of course. When you're talking about a funnel cloud forming and it hasn't touched down yet, does it just dissipate moments later? Does it continue down? Is a possibility of it touching down later?
Anything can happen, and that's why the National Weather Service issues that tornado warning for the possibility. If somebody's seeing a funnel cloud, a few moments later, a tornado can actually come down to the surface. So that's why we want to make sure that those that are listening right now, if you're in Berks County or into Lehigh County, you are getting into your safe location. I know I reiterate this time and time again, but this is the best thing that you can do. I know we're not Tornado Alley or anything, but we have had our fair share of tornadoes in this area. We've had, I know last week we had one in Northampton County, one in North Jersey. So please make sure you're following these graphics. Seek shelter now. What you want to do is go to your basement, closet, interior hallway if you don't have a basement to go to. Avoid windows, stay and move indoors. You don't want to be outside. You really don't even want to be looking outside your window right now. You want to be in that safe location and get under a sturdy object. So I'm going to bring this map back on out because the tornado threat has always been there today. It's been a low threat, but I always say it doesn't mean it's a no threat. You can see our entire viewing area is currently under a severe thunderstorm watch from the Poconos to the Jersey Shore, the I-95 corridor until 11 o'clock tonight. So this is just one situation that we're seeing right now, one particular thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. So at any point tonight, we might be breaking on into coverage because there is that spin in the atmosphere today. There's not a ton of spin, but there is at least some spin, and that's why we want to make sure that you're in your safe location and away from the path of any particular storm that can produce a tornado. So I'm going to reload the radar here just so we can see what we're looking at. Right now it's zoomed in to where our tornado warning is in Berks County. I just want to expand because, as I mentioned, I'm running these graphics by myself. I just want to make sure that no additional warnings are popping up. I'm not seeing anything coming in from the Mount Holly Weather Service, which covers most of our area. And then I'm also looking at the chat for State College, which includes Lancaster County, and I'm not seeing any additional tornado warnings. So we're just going to continue to follow this one right here. We can go ahead and put a tracker on a few more different locations. The latest update that we got from the National Weather Service Just a couple of minutes ago at 6:25, it said that this was moving due east at 20 miles per hour. So we'll take a look at a few more locations in the path of this cell that is capable of producing a tornado. I mentioned Kutztown. I remember reading off your town at 6:28. You're still in the worst of it right now. So 6:34 Kutztown, 6:45 in the community of Chauffeur, Maxatawny at 6:49, Halfsville at 6:56, and Upper Macungie at 7:02. Just keep in mind that the tornado warning itself is only until 6:45 Eastern time unless the National Weather Service decides to reissue that tornado warning or to expand the tornado warning. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back up here on the system. Let me just clear out the tool that I was using to do this. All right, and there is the tornado warning. We looked at the hail trackers not too long ago. It did not have a history of hail. All right, another tornado warning just popped up. All right, so we are now looking at two different tornado warnings in our area. The one that just popped up is for parts of Berks County, Chester County, and Montgomery County. This is until 7 o'clock. So again, this just coming into us from the National Weather Service that we do have now two tornado warnings in our viewing area. So I'm going to go ahead and click and read the information that just came out. So at 6:33 Eastern time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Birdsboro or near Reading, moving east at 20 miles per hour. This is until 7 o'clock. And the main interstate that you're looking at within this warning is I-176 in Pennsylvania between mile markers 6 and 11. So if you're just joining us right now, we have two different tornado warnings. We'll continue to watch this one here in Berks and Lehigh County. That's until 6:45. And then the National Weather Service also issuing a second tornado warning. This includes parts of Berks County, Montgomery County, and also Chester County. So this is new information just coming in. I'm going to go ahead and put on our radar so we can do the same thing and track what's happening right now. So this was a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Birdsboro. So we're going to look just south of Reading. If I remember correctly, Birdsboro is near Exeter, so we're going to put this tracker on here. And this is also moving east at 20 miles per hour. This has not been spotted by anybody in the public, but this cell is showing the possibility of some rotation. So if you hear your community, you want to make sure that you are in your safe shelter, as we went over some of those tips not too long ago. 639 Flying Hills. A lot of times these communities that populate are townships, so just remember that as I read it. Lorraine at 6:49, Devon Green at 6:52, Birdsboro at 6:56. The next community is at 7:02, and then West Ridge at 7:05. Because this one is a little bit farther south, I'm going to see if I can look at any of our particular products that we use for looking at rotation. So looking at the storm relative velocity here, I have a couple of different looks. Okay, so this one has the velocity and the tornado warning. Right now, I'm not seeing any kind of strong signature for a couplet. So what I'm basically looking for right now is, if you've seen us talk about tornado warnings, you're often trying to look for the red and the green. A lot of times people might say if you see red and the green together, there's something in between. So what we're trying to see is the change in direction in the winds by the radar beam. So right now, I'm not seeing any kind of strong area of rotation. But if I were to pinpoint an area, it would kind of be right in here where we're seeing a little bit of that red up against the green. That would indicate where we're seeing the winds moving toward the radar beam and then winds moving away from the radar. So that's where you get the spin in the atmosphere. Again, I'm not seeing a strong what we call couplet. I'm not seeing a strong signature of a tornado. But there is something there, and that is why the National Weather Service has issued that tornado warning. So we've got two different cells that we continue to watch. We'll go ahead and put this back up since it's been a couple of minutes. Two different tornado warnings issued by the National Weather Service out of Mount Holly, New Jersey. This is loading, so there we go. So here's your two different tornado warnings in Berks County into Lehigh County, and then the second tornado warning for Berks County into Montgomery and Chester counties. So it's been a little while since we've looked at this cell right in here. I haven't gotten any additional updates from the National Weather Service on this, so we will continue to monitor to see if this tornado warning continues until 6:45. What we can do is put a few more communities on here. The latest update we had was that this was over the Kutztown area, so I'm going to use that as a frame of reference, assuming that this cell is still moving at about 20 miles per hour. So we're looking at some of the same communities here. It looks like this just updated as I moved it, so we'll move this a little more. All right, Chauffeur at 6:45, 6:49 in Maxatawny, Halfsville at 6:56, Fogelsville at 7 o'clock, Upper Macungie at 7:03, and Coonsville at 7:07. We're starting to see some lightning that's popping up with this. That might be an indication that the severe thunderstorm is strengthening a bit. And because we do have two different warnings, I'm going to kind of joggle my way farther south to look at that warning that we have into Berks County here. No additional updates yet from the National Weather Service, so we will track this one once again. That is moving east at about 20 miles per hour. You know, we're looking at a very populated area here. I grew up in Montgomery County, so just kind of eyeballing this, you're looking at, I want to say parts of 422. You're looking at areas getting farther north into Berks County. 6:43 Lorain, Lincoln Woods 6:46, AVM Estates at 6:49, Amity at 7:01, 7:06 in Woods Edge, and Pine Forge at 7:09. I'm going to clear off some of these communities and see if anything new pops up on the relative velocity. Again, what I'm looking at with this product, I know there's a lot of different colors on here. What I'm trying to see is a couplet, which is an indication of where there could be some rotation. And it's what we call broad rotation. There's not a strong signature that there's a tornado, but there is at least some broad rotation. So areas such as Robeson, Exeter, also Birdsboro. You can see some of the hyperlocal communities here: Daniel Boone Road, Ole Turnpike Road, Weavertown Road, Covered Bridge Road. You are in the path of this severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. One of the latest updates from the National Weather Service, a report of a rotating wall cloud with a second tornado warning. So that's what this cell here. You know, nothing has come down and produced a tornado yet, but the ingredients are there. What the storm spotters are seeing, a tornado can be in progress with this cell right here. So we're going to put up some more tornado safety tips. I mean, we're looking at a largely populated area here within our viewing area, not just that tornado warning in Berks County and Lehigh County, but also the second tornado warning that has been issued. So this is kind of a visual example of what you should be doing. You want to stay away from the second story of the property that you might be in. Most damage occurs on the top floor. So that's why we always talk about getting away from windows, going to the lowest floor. an interior hallway, a bathroom, get low and cover your head and stay there until the tornado warning is no longer in place.
And Brittany, I want to pass along a few safety tips I'm seeing here from the National Safety Council as well. Just to make sure everybody's fully aware of some of the other things you can do. As Brittany mentioned, you can seek shelter immediately. If you're away from your home, you can seek out a basement, an interior corridor, a tunnel, underground parking lot, or a subway. Once again, according to the National Safety Council, avoid auditoriums, upper floors of buildings, trailers, parked vehicles. Stay away from all windows. That's one of the key ones that they have here. If you're out in the open, lie flat in a ditch or other low-lying area and protect your head. Stay away from poles or overhead lines. If you're driving, drive at right angles to the tornado's path. If you can't escape it, get out of the vehicle and seek a low-lying area. If you're at home, head for the basement. Take cover under a heavy table or a workbench. If you don't have a basement, go to a windowless room in the center of the house. Also, stay away from windows once again and cover yourself with a rug for protection against flying glass and debris. And know the difference between a watch, conditions that are favorable for a tornado to form, and a warning, which is a tornado has been spotted in your area and you should take shelter immediately. So that's a few more things to pass along here in case you find yourself in an emergency situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good information that we can't say enough on the air. And as Walter was reading that information, the National Weather Service has expired the tornado warning in Berks County and Lehigh County. I know it's still showing on the map there. At times it takes a couple of minutes for this to kind of clear our system, but I at least have that up there right now so you know that you are in the clear at this point. That severe thunderstorm has weakened below the threshold of what could produce a tornado, and there you could see that just cleared. So as this is flashing now, we're getting another update from the National Weather Service. This tornado warning here in Berks County, Montgomery County, and into Chester County continues until 7 o'clock. I'm going to just click on the latest update that just came in literally 1 minute ago. So currently I'm navigating two different computers. You're seeing the tornado warning on the air, but another computer that I'm on right now is what allows me to get the latest information from the Weather Service that we can pass along to you so we know exactly what is prompting the current tornado warning. So the update that they just came out with 1 minute ago still has the tornado warning in effect until 7 o'clock Eastern time. This includes southeastern Berks, northwestern Montgomery, and northeastern Chester counties. This is the cell that a storm spotter or weather spotters noticed a funnel cloud, not an actual tornado, but a funnel cloud was reported at 6:38. And a wall cloud, a rotating wall cloud, was reported near Amity Township not too long ago. So this cell here that's capable of producing a tornado is located over Birdsboro or 7 miles southeast of Reading, and it is still moving east at 20 miles per hour. So you can see the update that just populated here. We'll put this on the latest frame, and we will track it once again so we can get some of the latest communities that might be in the path of this cell. So the tornado warning from the Weather Service mentioned that this was moving east at 20 miles per hour, located over Birdsboro. So you can see Birdsboro on the map here: Daniel Bood Road, Weavertown Road, Chauffeurs Road, Shelbourne Road. I'm going to zoom out and then I'm going to track a few more locations here. So we're looking at this general area southeast of Reading, moving east at 20 miles per hour. So this will take us into parts of Chester County. So there you go, Birdsboro right now, the worst of it is right over your area. The time now is 6:47. We're looking at 6:50 in Birdsboro, 6:56 in Monocacy Station, Amity at 7 o'clock, Cider Mill Run at 7:03, West Pottsgrove at 7:09, and then 7:15 in Pottstown. So I'll go ahead and clear off some of these communities here so we can try and look at a few more products. I know I've been kind of using the relative velocity, and if you're looking at your screen right now, you're probably going, what the heck am I looking at? I know there's a lot of colors on the map here. What I'm using this product for is to try and see if there is any indication of rotation. It's what we call a couplet, where we get the winds moving toward the radar and the winds moving away from the radar. That is often an indication that we're seeing rotation, or what we call spin in the atmosphere. And although I'm not seeing a strong, what we call couplet, I did see a little bit of rotation in the latest frame, just kind of broadly circling an area here. So the latest update did mention Birdsboro, and it makes sense because that's the area where we're seeing, again, the green and then the red, indicating that there is the possibility of some rotation, and that is why that tornado warning has been issued by the National Weather Service. So we'll keep looking at a few different products here. Rainfall rates. I mean, yeah, it's coming down pretty good right now. I've been mentioning today the dew points. There's a lot of moisture in the air. I'm not seeing any kind of crazy rainfall rates, but there is still some intense downpours coming through the area right now. We have rainfall rates over an inch per hour. A little bit farther east, yeah, we're looking at rainfall rates around 1 to 2 inches per hour here. So again, zooming the map on out, this is the main cell in question that we're looking at right in here. This takes us from Berks County into Montgomery County and also into Chester County. This cell is moving due east, so I haven't seen a whole lot of communities populating in parts of northern Montgomery County, but you are also still included here in this severe thunderstorm, or excuse me, this tornado warning. Let me correct myself. Here's Chester County. Here's Montgomery County. This cell is moving due east, so we're seeing this moving more so from Berks County into Montgomery County. So I'm gonna put a few more towns on here, really, whoops.
And so, Brittany, just to be clear, at this point so far in our area, no reports of anything touching down to the ground.
No reports of anything touching down. We just had the rotating wall cloud report with this tornado report, but at this point, nothing has been confirmed. But that's kind of what we rely on. We don't want people to be looking out their window right now. We want them in a safe place, but that's how we get the confirmation from the Weather Service that a tornado has been visually spotted.
And also right now, so far, just one cell cluster is where all this is coming from? Or are there others across the region?
So there are multiple thunderstorms ongoing.
I'm saying in terms of the possibility or any funnel clouds being seen, as of right now, we've only had one cluster where that was seen.
So we had the tornado warning not too long ago in Berks County and Lehigh County. That expired. That no longer poses the tornado threat. But the only area that we're looking at the potential of a tornado at this moment is here in Berks County, in this red polygon area. So right now the time is 6:51. This tornado warning is until 7 o'clock. We're looking at small hail with this. As you saw the latest radar frame, there's a couple of lightning strikes. We're not seeing an intense amount of lightning, but this storm still poses the threat of producing a tornado. The latest update that we had, and that came through a couple of minutes ago, 6:44 was the latest update from the National Weather Service. They had it over Birdsboro. So as far as I'm concerned right now, this cell is still moving pretty slow east at 20 miles per hour here, so we'll stretch this in. Like I said, because this is moving due east, I think this is going to be moving more so from Berks into Montgomery County, although parts of Chester County is also under that warning. So right now at 6:52, you can see Birdsboro, you're still on the list, so the worst of this still right over you. 6:54 in Birdsboro, 7:05 in Amity. You know, keep in mind some of these times are beyond the timestamp of the tornado warning. They can extend that should they feel the need to. 7:08 in Cider Mill Run, West Pottsgrove at 7:14. 7:17 in Upper Glasgow and Colebrookdale at 7:20. So I'm going to look again and see if I'm getting any kind of rotation. I mean, there definitely looks to be something going on here, some rotation, not the strongest signature, but there is some rotation. Again, we're looking at the relative velocity product, which is a way for us to look at the wind movement, the gate-to-gate shear that we're looking at, the wind's moving toolward and away from the radar beam, which would indicate where there could be some spin. And where I'm seeing this kind of notching, if you will, let me go ahead and try and draw this for you. How we're kind of seeing the green here and the red here. This is the area that I'm most concerned about right now. So Birdsboro, Culptown, and points on east toward Monocacy Station. Apologies if that's not how you pronounce your community. You are in the worst of this situation right now. This is where I'm seeing at least some broad rotation. So if there were to be an actual tornado, it would be in this area. So again, from Birdsboro to Monocacy Station to Amity, you can see a couple of the roads on there. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more.
It seems to be moving slowly, right?
It is moving slowly.
Is that unusual? I mean, normally you hear about these things and it seems like it's coasting over the area. But this seems like it's moving slowly.
It's not abnormal. You know, with tornadoes, 20 miles per hour or more is typically what you see with the storm motion. Yeah, it's not moving very quickly here. We'll see if we get another update from the National Weather Service, but again, this is kind of the area that if there is a tornado on the ground, it's in the area of Birdsboro to Monocacy Station and Amity. You want to make sure that you are seeking shelter.
And for people who don't understand the geography of this is kind of northwest of the city, up around Berks, moving toward Montgomery County.
Right, that's correct.
Sometimes when you move in closely with the map and people aren't sure what those locations are.
I know. And
you see Amity, what's that? That's up there in Berks County.
And I'm not showing, the typical thing that people are used to seeing.
Sure.
So there's your typical radar that you're used to seeing. You know, red is the heaviest of rain. Yellows and orange, you're looking at more of a moderate rainfall. But what we're trying to do with these different products, this is what you see on a normal daily basis that we show, but we do have other tools in our toolbox, so to say, where we can look at what's really going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So the relative velocity, again, is a product that we're able to use to look at the rotation. We don't look at this product too much, and this is a product that we would use to look at any debris that might be out there. Let me take the watch outline. I'm not seeing any kind of strong debris signature. So oftentimes if you have a tornado, we're able to use this product to see debris that's being lofted into the air with a tornado. I'm not seeing that, but I am still seeing that area of rotation again, now east of Birdsboro, Monocacy Station, and into Amity. So we're gonna, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna track some more towns. It's been a couple of minutes since we did that. Let me move south. We're in Lehigh County. All right. So for those that are just tuning in right now, I know we've been kind of zoomed in pretty tightly here, just for perspective to kind of give you the lay of the land. Here's Philadelphia. We're looking northwest of Philadelphia. So this is kind of between Reading and Philadelphia here, Berks County into Montgomery County.
And so what are people seeing at this point in those areas? Short of seeing a tornado, what are they seeing?
Well, right now, I hope they're seeing their bathroom walls.
I mean, in terms of what's hitting that area.
Yeah, you know, I hope they're in their safe location right now. You know, honestly, I can't say what they're seeing. What I'm seeing here from our radar products is that there could be some rotation. If anybody were to be looking out their window, they might see a lot of heavy rain. You know, chances are with some of the rainfall rates we're seeing, they might not be able to see a tornado. Sure. But you want to be inside. All right. So the latest update that just came in from the National Weather Service, They're issuing a tornado warning for Berks, Chester, and Montgomery County until 7:30. This might be another tornado warning. Let me see if it came into our system yet. Okay, yeah, it is. All right, so what's flashing right now has just been issued.
So does that mean it's separate from the previous one, or it's separate cell? What exactly does that mean?
It's possible. Let me click to see what they're saying about this one.
Okay.
So it looks like this is a separate cell, but they do, overlap each other from Berks County. This one also including Montgomery and Chester County. So southeastern Berks County, west central Montgomery County, and then northeastern Chester County. That was just issued at 7:30. Previously, we were talking about this area right in here with the timestamp of 7 o'clock. Now we're looking a little bit farther south. So at 6:56, again, this just came out a couple of minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Cedarville, or 11 miles southeast of Reading, moving east at 20 miles per hour. So this cell is also, okay. All right, now I can answer your question, Walter. So what they did was they expired the tornado warning that we were previously looking at that was to expire at 7 o'clock, and then they reissued a tornado warning. So what they're essentially doing is following that cluster of thunderstorms, following that cell's now a little bit farther south and east. So in a couple of moments, you're going to see the same thing like what happened with the cell up in Lehigh and Berks County. One of the polygons is just going to disappear. We just need a couple of moments for that to kind of update in our system. And then once that happens, I'll be able to kind of clean things up a little bit, and we'll be able to put some more communities on the map.
And as you do that, we have some more safety tips I want to pass along here from the National Weather Service. For those in these areas, please just pay attention to this. This is something you have to take very seriously. This is according to the National Weather Service. They say in general, among the safety tips, get as low as you can. A basement below ground level or the lowest floor of a building offers the greatest safety. Put as many walls between yourself and the outside as possible. Avoid windows at all costs. Now, tornadoes could be obscured by rainfall, of course, or nighttime. Don't wait until you see or hear the tornado. At that point, it may be too late. This is from the National Weather Service. Don't waste time opening or closing windows or doors. It'll not protect the structure. You'll only waste time and put yourself and others in risk, in harm's way. Use those valuable seconds to find a place for safety. In homes or public buildings, go to the basement or a small exterior room like a closet, a bathroom, an interior hall, the lowest level possible. Close all doors to the hallway for greater protection. If possible, get under something sturdy like a heavy table. Protect yourself from flying debris, of course, with pillows, heavy coats, blankets, quilts, whatever you can find. Use bicycle or motorcycle helmets to protect your head if possible. In mobile homes, leave well in advance of the approaching severe weather and go to a stronger building. If there's no shelter nearby, get into the nearest ditch, a low spot, underground culvert, something. Lie flat, covering your head with your hands for protection. So these are some more safety tips to pass along from the National Weather Service, just in case this does develop into something further.
Always great tips to pass along, Walter. And while you were doing that, I did put a couple more communities on our Storm Tracker 6 live radar here. So again, if you are still on the air, still watching us on the air, we've been following what is now our third tornado warning of the evening. And this one is for Berks County and also into Chester and Montgomery County. The tracker that I put on this, because the latest update had this moving east at 20 miles per hour, this tracker is more so looking at Berks County, moving due east into Montgomery County. So 703, Amity Gardens, Pine Forge at 710, Upper Glasgow at 714, 718 in Upper Pottsgrove, 724 in Lower Pottsgrove, and 727 in the New Hanover area. I'm not seeing, there's no interstates in this area. So, just for going off the top of my head, looking at some of these communities, I mean, you're going to have 422 that runs not too far away from here. Swamp Pike, that's also a pretty largely traveled road. As I kind of move this, you'll see more and more places pop up. So we mentioned Upper Pottsgrove and the Pine Forge area. We're looking at areas around Pine Forge Road, Douglas Drive, Colebrook Dale Road, Evans Road. Again, this is moving east out of Berks County and crossing over into Montgomery County. This tornado warning does include portions of northeastern Chester County, but just looking at this, eyeballing it, the worst of it right now is due east of Berks into Montgomery County. So we'll see if we can get anything with our storm relative velocity. This is the latest frame here. Again, there hasn't been a strong couplet or a strong indication of rotation, but there is some from Amity east to Pine Forge and Upper Pottsgrove.
And once again, just to be clear, what we're making our way through here right now is a tornado warning. As of right now, right, Brittany? We have not confirmed anything as far as anything touching down. We have seen some funnel clouds, but nothing so far touching the ground.
That's right. So far, nothing has touched the ground, but with the update to the tornado warning that the National Weather Service put out, at 6:45, there was a report of a funnel cloud in Berks County, 2 miles southwest of Lorraine. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that. Video was received from this location of a funnel cloud south of Reading and west of Birdsboro. So that's why they issued that tornado warning. That continues until 7:30. So again, we're looking at the relative velocity products, which just kind of gives us an idea of any kind of rotation that might be out there right now. I'll put the actual tornado warning back up just so we can kind of get back to our bearings, if you will, of where we're looking at. I know we cover a big viewing area. You know, if you're tuning in from the Jersey Shore right now, no issue for you. If you're tuning in from Delaware right now, Philadelphia, no issue for you. The Poconos, no issue. This is specifically over Berks County and into Montgomery and northeastern Chester County. This tornado warning is until 7:30. Right now, the time is 7:05, and you know, we're doing everything that we can to make sure that those that might be in the path of this storm are in a safe location. So no additional updates have come in just yet from the National Weather Service. The one that we had a couple of minutes ago was talking about areas southeast of Reading moving east at 20 miles per hour. So I'll put a few more communities on here and track things.
Overall, Brittany, has the number of tornadoes in this area, we had that one year that was extremely active several years ago. And since then, we've had a few reports here and there. Overall, is it a larger number? If you exclude that one year where we had just a tremendous amount of tornadoes, in general, has the number increased across this region?
Absolutely.
How about that?
You know, even if you look at the last 5 years, I've only worked here for a little over 2 years, and I think we had, was it 2021? I can think of that year we had at least over 10 confirmed tornadoes.
Sure.
Last year we had several tornadoes. Already this year we've had a couple of confirmed tornadoes. So, you know, we say to people this isn't Tornado Alley, but this is becoming kind of the new normal around here.
And even going beyond our professional careers, you grew up in this region.
Right.
I grew up in central New Jersey. Very little recollection of anything like this in terms of the number of tornadoes. I don't think there was one when I was in Jersey growing up as a kid. I could be wrong. I didn't watch the news when I was 5, but you know, when you get to 10, 15, 20, you remember those things if it does come across the pike. I have no recollection of that happening very much at all.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a couple of tornado warnings when I was a kid, but
Sure.
you know, now, like I said, it's kind of becoming the new normal around here.
Fair to say relatively common? Is that a step too far?
It might be a step too far. I kind of like the new normal. We all need to be more aware that this is something that can happen here. And I want you to kind of hold that thought for a moment because we are getting an update from the National Weather Service. Let me put the warning back on here. Just give it a second to load.
While you're doing that, a few more safety tips. This is interesting. This is from the National Weather Service, because this is something you don't think about all the time, but what do you do if you're in a vehicle or you're outdoors? According to the National Weather Service, they say when tornadoes are possible, limit your outdoor plans or finish them early. Stay close to a sturdy shelter. If caught outside, find shelter in a ditch or remain in your vehicle and cover your head for protection. Don't take shelter under a highway overpass, which is what I would have done had I not known this, where wind speeds can increase due to a tunneling effect. It's best to not put yourself and others in a situation where no sturdy shelter is available. And remember, stay away from doors, stay away from windows, outside walls, and protect your head at all times. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, always some good tips. All right, I have new information to pass along. So the National Weather Service has now canceled the tornado warning for Berks, Chester, and Montgomery County. So our crew in the control room, you can wipe that clear, but we do have a new tornado warning that has just been issued. This one is for parts of Chester County and then also into Lancaster County. The difficult thing with this is that it falls into two different jurisdictions of weather service offices. So I'm going to kind of have to bounce back and forth to look at the actual report that just came in. So here's the latest polygon that just came through. Again, if you're tuning in from Berks, Chester, Montgomery County, that cell that we were watching not too long ago, they've allowed that to expire. But there has been a newly issued tornado warning, and this includes portions of Chester and also Lancaster County. So I'm going to read the bulletin that just came through. So at 7:05 Eastern Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Mount Vernon, or 14 miles southeast of Willow Street, moving east at 20 miles per hour. So that was the bulletin that came in from the National Weather Service at Mount Holly. As I just mentioned, this falls into two different jurisdictions of the National Weather Service. So you have one office in Mount Holly, New Jersey, and then you have another office out of the State College area. So I'm trying to get into that tornado warning to see if that offers us any additional information. So the severe thunder, okay, same location, Mount Vernon, east at 20 miles per hour. So this is for southeastern Lancaster County. So you've probably seen the warning for a little while now. We'll put the radar look on it.
And when it says hail size, does that mean there is hail, or if there was hail, that would be the size?
If there was hail, that would be the size.
Okay.
And we can look at that product in just a moment here. I just want to look at this cell, and we'll put a few more communities on here just because this is the newest tornado warning to come through. So all of these cells have been moving relatively slow, due east at about 20 miles per hour. Not a lot of communities popping up here. Right now the time is 7:11 and you're looking at 7:23 in Homeville, 7:30 in West Fallowfield, and then the third community there at 7:36. I'm going to see if any other locations were listed in their tornado warning. Okay, so it does offer a few more places: Oxford, West Grove, Homeville, also Mount Vernon, Cochranville, South Coatesville, and also Modena. So we'll clear this out, and as Walter was mentioning, you know, does this have any hail with it? Not seeing a whole lot of it. I mean, you can see this orange shade that just popped up. Small hail is possible. So that's why when we show the warning, it shows the potential of how much hail could be falling. Excuse me. So again, we're looking at this newly issued tornado warning that includes portions of Lancaster County and also Chester County. I'm not getting any reports of any funnel clouds or any reports of confirmation from anybody in the public. Not seeing a whole lot of rotation, but as I mentioned, this falls between two different offices, so It's a little muddy here looking at the storm relative velocity. Again, when we only show this product on the air when there's any kind of rotation that might be out there, and we look for a couplet or a radar signature that would indicate rotation or spin in the atmosphere. Typically you want a very bright green or red side to side to have that actual signature. I'm glad we're not seeing that right now. But if there were to be a tornado, again, we haven't had any reports of one. If there were to be a tornado, we would be looking right here in this area. I'm going to include Homeville in it just because you're kind of in between areas. So
once again, Brittany, this is a tornado warning, right? Not a tornado watch.
Yes, this is a tornado warning. So this means that now is the time that you need to be in that safe location. So we can put that up just because we're looking at a new area. You know, maybe you were grilling with the family, it's the 4th of July weekend, maybe your 6ABC app went off, and you know, you might be just turning on the TV now trying to get more information on what's happening. This is I think our third tornado warning of the night, third or fourth tornado warning of the night. If you're just tuning in right now because you fall into the Chester or Lancaster County area, you want to seek shelter now. Going into a basement is the best location you can be, a closet or an interior hallway. You want to avoid windows, stay and move indoors, and you want to get under a sturdy object. Although a tornado has not been reported every single time there's a tornado warning, you want to treat it as if a tornado can happen.
With that said, Brittany, you don't want to wait until you see the tornado.
Yeah.
At that point, it could be too late.
It's too late at that point. And you know, it's a holiday weekend. A lot of people are trying to do things outside. People want to have a good time. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. We don't want to just see anybody make a bad decision because
it's not worth it. Just play safe, and once it's over, we will let you know.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put the warning back on here just so we can kind of give people an idea of where we're talking about. I mentioned, you know, if you're at the shore right now, this does not impact you. If you're tuning in from Dover, even Philadelphia right now, this warning is for this red polygon until 7:30, and that is for Lancaster and Chester counties. So we're looking at basically north of New London here. So we'll put the radar view back on. And I will put a few more communities on here. Unfortunately, when we did this the last time, not a lot of places came up, but we'll see what happens this time. Moving east, all right, we've got a couple of places on the map here. The time right now is 7:16, 7:25 in Homeville, 7:31 in Glenville. Edenton, apologies, 7:34. And then the last location on the list is at 7:37. I'm not getting any updates from the National Weather Service of anything that has been confirmed. But like I just said a couple of minutes ago, every single tornado warning, you want to treat it as if there could be a tornado. This does not mean it might happen. This means it could happen, or it might be happening at this moment. Still seeing a little bit of rotation here on our storm relative velocity product, which...
What are you looking for in terms of what that's displaying? How does that tell you if there's rotation? Because all I see is purple squares and rectangles and green stripes.
Well, that's what we went. That's what we went to school for.
Yeah, I didn't. So, just so we know.
Yeah, I know. This is, as I've been mentioning, we only show this product when there is a tornado warning. So, what you're essentially looking for, and we're not seeing a strong signature, but what you're essentially looking for is the change in wind direction. So, we're looking at the green being the wind that's moving toward the radar, and the red with the wind moving away from the radar. So, you know, this isn't the best example of where there could be a tornado, but because we do have kind of that muddied looking area right in here, this is a product that I can use and say, if there is a tornado happening, this is where it is, because this is where I'm seeing that change in wind direction right now.
So the variety of color indicates that?
Yes, yeah. So we're looking east of Colran. Let me wipe this off. Around the area of Homeville. Again, nothing has been confirmed. This is just a tool that I'm able to use kind of in our toolkit to look at where there could be a tornado in progress. And right now we're seeing more lightning strikes popping up, so that this storm might be in a way strengthening. It's not weakening at this point.
Wow.
So again, Lancaster County into Chester County, we are looking at the possibility of a tornado here.
Now, what makes it strengthen?
I mean,
a number of things?
Yeah, a number of things. I mean, there's a lot of energy in the atmosphere today. We look at things such as CAPE, the convective available potential energy. On a normal summertime day, you might be looking at CAPE values around 1,000 joules per kilojoule. Today, the CAPE values are over 2,000. So there's a lot of energy to work with in the atmosphere today. We've got a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. So there's several different ingredients, and that's kind of what this is tapping into right now. So as I just said, it looks like this particular severe thunderstorm could be strengthening. The update from the Weather Service is continuing this tornado warning until, still continuing until 7:30. So I'm going to put the polygon back up, and I'm going to read any additional locations.
So when it strengthens, does that necessarily mean it gets larger?
Doesn't mean the tornado is getting larger. It means that
the area where it could happen.
It means that the thunderstorms are getting more intense in that area. The more
so it doesn't necessarily mean the cell's getting larger.
Doesn't necessarily mean that. It's just getting more intense at that moment. So you probably just saw this kind of flashed and moved a little bit farther east. They've tightened up the polygon a little bit. And the latest update that just came in, so now as this kind of moves its way out of Lancaster County, this is just falling into the Mount Holly Weather Service office jurisdiction. So, okay, there we go. The State College National Weather Service office has canceled the tornado warning in Lancaster County, and it continues into Chester County. All right, so at 7:18, 2 minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Homeville, or 15 miles northwest of, I want to say, Newark, moving east at 20 miles per hour. Okay, so it's using Newark as a frame of reference just because we're in southern Chester County here. So this is the area that we're looking at. If you were following the tornado warning in Lancaster County, the worst of it has moved out of your area. So we'll put the radar product on here. And a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Homeville. So taking the lightning off here for a second. So we're looking at this area that the updated bulletin just mentioned, that a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Homeville. So we will track from Homeville. This is still moving east at 20 miles per hour. Let me redo this. Let me zoom out a little bit. So we know Homeville is right in here. So again, now out of Lancaster County, moving east at 20 miles per hour. The time right now is 7:22. We're looking at 7:32 at Edenton. 7:36 Fags Manor, and Green Lawn at 7:48. Those are some of the latest communities that have populated on our Storm Tracker 6 live radar of where a severe thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado.
And Brittany, over the years, I've covered many tornadoes, different kinds of storms. And many times, under circumstances like these, you also end up reporting on things that weren't tornadoes, straight line winds, microbursts, things like that. I'm assuming, right, that conditions are favorable for something like that as well.
Yeah, conditions are favorable today for, not just the isolated tornado threat, but also the damaging winds. We talk about straight line winds that can produce winds gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour. So all severe weather threats are on the table for today. The tornado risk has been on the lower end of the spectrum, but it's still there. Fortunately, I just got logged out of this. So I'm going to put this down real quickly here. I'm able to visually show you what's going on right now. Many thanks to Paul Trombello, our meteorologist and weather producer. He's going to run some of the graphics for me behind the scenes, coming in on his day off for the 4th of July, doing what he can and our team can do to help keep everybody safe in this situation here, as we have had a number of tornado warnings across our area this evening. Our latest warning that continues until 7:30 includes Chester County. This cell was moving out of Lancaster County, so the time right now is 7:24. We're looking at the Homeville area at 7:26. The latest update that came through just a couple of minutes ago had this cell, the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado right over Homeville. So Homeville, you still need to be in your safe location. 7:31 in Upper Oxford. Edenton at 7:34. Elkview at 7:40, 7:43 in Jennersville, and 7:51 in London Grove. So again, if you're just joining us, or maybe you've been with us, we've been following tornado warnings since Jamie's sportscast. We continue to follow the severe weather threat that is moving across our area. We did have tornado warnings earlier in Lehigh and Berks County. That cell has weakened. We had a cell that moved through Berks, Chester, and Montgomery County. That has weakened. So now our one tornado warning that is out there is moving through Chester County. This originally did originate in Lancaster County, but it has moved out of the county. So Lancaster County, you are no longer in the path of this severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. So you're looking east of the Cole-Rain area, and this red polygon is that severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. So what Paul's kind of doing here is we're zooming in as tight as we can to see if we get any highly populated roads that might come up. The Homeville area was one that we were looking at. It looks like we have Old Limestone Road between Upper Oxford and the Russellville area. Not a lot of roads in this area, but hopefully, if this is your road or you know somebody that lives along this way, they are in their safe location, which is the basement. Again, the best place that you can be. So here are a few more places. Glenville Road, Sawmill Road, Center Hall Road, High Point Road. I mean, this is hyper local. We're likely looking at somebody's neighborhood. We have Becky Lane there, Hawkins Road I'm seeing to the south, Calamar Road. All of these areas, the worst of this severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado is moving over your area right now.
New tornado warning at 8 o'clock here for southern Chester County.
Okay, and just for reference, Paul, you're going to have to kind of help me out with what's going on chat. I couldn't get the iPad to work. So what he just said to me, and you might hear me kind of talking to nobody, I have a weather producer that's providing me some of the information. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning now from Chester County on east. I'm going to kind of step a little farther back. Does this include Newcastle County at all?
Yes, just the very edge there, that northwestern tip, and it's moving east at 20 miles an hour.
Okay. Okay, so just the northwestern tip of Newcastle County. So we'll likely probably see this polygon kind of go away like we have with a couple other tornado warnings once we get to 7:30, and then we're looking at the area now extending a bit farther to the east, and that tornado warning is until 8 o'clock. So we're looking at areas around Lower Oxford, Fags Manor, Elkview, also the New London area, London Grove, and also Chesterville. You can see some of the roads that run in between here. Baltimore Pike, State Road. We're looking at Penn Green Road, Church Road, Newark Road. This is getting a little bit closer to the border of Delaware at this point. So you have Hockessin right here. You have London, Britain, and then this is the county limit of Chester County to Newcastle County, Delaware. So if you are just joining us here on 6ABC, we continue to track what has been so far a very active evening with severe weather across our viewing area. So this is also moving east at about 20 to 25 miles per hour. Again, this newly issued tornado warning is until 8 o'clock. We're going to be on the air until the National Weather Service expires the warning or extends any additional warning. So we're going to be here hopefully keeping you and your family safe on this Independence Day weekend. 7:33 in Elkview, Kelton at 7:36, Wickerton at 7:44, 7:53 in New Garden, and the last one on the list, 7:57. So a lot going on tonight. At this point, the tornado warnings that have come through our area have all been radar indicated. I was mentioning earlier this evening when these cells were across central Pennsylvania, they were confirmed tornadoes. They did produce damage out that way. And what essentially happened is you got those cells that traveled farther east, and now they're kind of moving through our area, not so much dropping tornadoes down, but we are getting some of that spin in the atmosphere this evening here that is prompting the National Weather Service to issue some of those warnings. So what Paul is doing is kind of what I was trying to show you earlier with our relative velocity, where we are looking for what can be some rotation here. So we have the winds moving toward and away from the radar site. It's not a strong couplet that we're seeing, but if there were to be a tornado right now, it would be in this area here. So he has it kind of looping within the last couple of minutes. So you have East Nottingham right here, and we can take that area where we're seeing some of that potential rotation and track from where that part of the thunderstorm is going to. So again, this is moving east at about 20 miles per hour through Chester County. The time right now is 7:30. We're looking at 7:34 in Elkview, 7:44 in West Grove, 7:47 in Chesterville, Avondale at 7:50, 7:55 in New Garden, and 7:59 in Southwood. If I read off any of your communities, you want to make sure that you are in your safe location. And I mentioned it earlier, we cannot reiterate this information enough. We just had a confirmed tornado a couple of days ago up in Northampton County. Tornadoes do happen around here, and there are things that you can do to protect yourself, protect your family. It's a big holiday weekend. You might have been having a barbecue outside. You got to bring everybody indoors and get everybody into a safe location. If you have a basement, that's the best place you can go, especially if you have a big group of people. Closet, a bathroom, an interior room. What you're trying to do is to protect yourself from any of those strong winds that could be blowing in the event of a tornado. But we also know that these storms are severe thunderstorms. So even if they don't produce a tornado, you could still be looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds in your community. And that's one of the reasons why we did issue an AccuWeather alert for today. We issued this on Friday ahead of today because we knew the ingredients were there for strong thunderstorms on a big holiday weekend. So our entire viewing area is still currently under a severe thunderstorm watch until 11 o'clock Eastern time. Although you're not seeing anything at the Jersey Shore right now in terms of the severity of the thunderstorms that we're seeing in Chester County, the possibility is there that you could have some severe weather a little bit later on this evening. Even looking at what's going on with Storm Tracker 6 Live, a lot of these cells have weakened a bit. You can see the lightning strikes here within the last 30 minutes or so. These are just heavy downpours right now, and maybe some locally strong winds across Berks County, the Lehigh Valley, and also Montgomery County. But where we're not seeing the weakening is with that cell that moved from Lancaster County and is now moving throughout parts of Chester County. So we're looking at areas around just north of East Nottingham, the London Grove area, also Edenton, where you're seeing a lot of those lightning strikes. That is where the strongest part of the storm is, where we have some of those winds feeding in to that particular severe thunderstorm area. So maybe at this point we can look at a couple of, how about we look at the relative velocity, Paul, maybe see if that looks any better with the latest frame. And, you know, all day today, there hasn't been a strong indication of rotation, but there's just been a little bit of a blip in the relative velocity here, kind of looking in this general area just to the northeast of East Nottingham. If there were to be a tornado, this is the area that we're looking at right here, moving east at 20 miles per hour. So again, we are looking at Chester County. This tornado warning also will work its way into parts of Newcastle County, Delaware. And we can maybe put a tracker on this again to see if we get a few more locations that pop up. All right. Right now, the time is 7:34. We're looking at 7:45 in Wickerton, Chesterville at 7:48, and the area of North Star just after 8 o'clock. Paul, has anything new come in from the National Weather Service?
No, nothing new right now.
Okay, no new updates. So you hear us a lot of times talking about if there's anything new in chat. We're in the chat room with the National Weather Service, other emergency management officials, and it's within that chat where we get the information of if a funnel cloud was spotted, updates on the storm's movement. And at this point, we're looking very closely at the communities of New London, Jennersville, London Grove, Chesterville. These are all in Chester County, Pennsylvania. This is where the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is moving at this moment. We haven't had any confirmation from anybody that there's a tornado on the ground, but with some of the products that we've been looking at this evening, there is at least some broad rotation, not a strong signature of rotation, but there is some rotation, and that's why there is a tornado warning until 8 o'clock this evening.
And Brittany, I have another novice question for you. When you talk about the one cell that's moving through, does that mean that it can produce the possibility of one tornado, or is that something that can produce more than one tornado, assuming one did develop?
You know, you never know exactly what one particular thunderstorm is going to do. You know, we don't live in Tornado Alley where you're going to see side-by-side tornadoes next to each other, but we're generally looking at one severe thunderstorm that could produce one tornado. So that's why we've been kind of trying to go hyper local with our radar tonight, just so we could zoom in to that one area. And that's why I've been saying, you know, if there's a tornado, this is where it would be right now.
And is that based on the size of it or because of our location? What's that based on?
So we're basing that off of, remember the relative velocity product we were looking at with the rotation? That's what we're basing it off of. Where we're seeing the rotation in our radar products, that's where we're able to tell people if there's a tornado, this is where it could be right now, based off of the wind direction around the radar. So looks like Paul put up a couple more locations here, and this takes us a little bit more into Delaware. Right now it's 7:36. We're looking at the Wickerton area at 7:45, Chesterville at 7:48, Southwood at 8:01, and Hockessin at 8:05. So if you are just joining us or you're still with us here on the air, we are looking at Chester County and then a small part of Newcastle County, Delaware right now with this tornado warning. Areas in the path of this thunderstorm right now, New London, the Baltimore Pike. I'm going to assume this is a highly traveled road here around Jennersville. You have State Road, West Avondale Road. The worst of it right now is just due west of you. So again, State Road, we have Wickerton right here, Schoolhouse Road, which is just south of London Grove. You have Churchill Road, the Chesterville area. You still have a couple of moments, but this is just to your west. And then also within this tracker, we have Star Road, Newark Road, Penn Green Road, Good Hope Road, Doe Run Road, and just outside of that tornado warning polygon, you have Valley Road and Southwood. This is, the worst of it is just to your west right now, but you know, you're still within the trajectory of this storm that you want to make sure that you are in your safe location. So kind of getting our bearings here. Again, if you're tuning in from the Philadelphia area, the Jersey Shore, this is not impacting you. This is one particular severe thunderstorm that we're watching in Chester County, and really the only thunderstorm cluster in our viewing area at this point. There are some beefier thunderstorms to our south. We're going to have to watch those that are moving through Maryland to see if they continue their path into Kent County, Delaware. But at this point, the only cluster of thunderstorms in our viewing area is that zone in southern Chester County. All right. Thank you. So we're just zooming in a little tighter on the radar. I'm going to take a drink real quick.
Once again, I want to go over those safety tips from the National Weather Service under these circumstances. Once again, this is a tornado warning. This is not a tornado watch. And according to the National Weather Service, some of the important things to do in general: stay as low as you can, a basement below ground level or the lowest floor of the building where you are. That's the greatest safety tip you can get at this point. But put as many walls between yourself and the outside as possible, and avoid windows at all costs. Tornadoes can be obscured by rainfall or come nighttime, of course. We said it before, don't wait until you see or hear the tornado. At that point, it may be too late. Don't waste time opening or closing windows and doors. It will not protect your structure. It'll only waste time, put yourself and others at risk. Use those valuable seconds to find a place to be safe inside your home or wherever you are. In homes or public buildings, go to the basement once again, or an interior room like a closet, a bathroom, interior hall on the lowest level of the structure. Close all the doors to the hallway for greater protection. If possible, get under something sturdy like a heavy table. Protect yourself from flying debris with pillows, heavy coats, whatever you can find, blankets, quilts. And use bicycle or motorcycle helmets to protect your head as well. That's one of the most important things here. Make sure your head is protected.
All right, thank you so much, Walter. And you're going to hear us talking about those safety tips multiple times tonight, or at least until there's no longer a tornado warning. A couple of minutes ago, as I was getting a drink, I was able to see the update from the National Weather Service. There was a report of a funnel cloud in the area of Lincoln University, I believe, is what I read on there.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. We can populate what just came through, and I'll step out of the way so he can show that full screen there. So the time of the report was at 7:29, so 11 minutes ago. Spotter reports a rotating wall cloud with a funnel cloud at this location. Lincoln University, that is in Chester County. So, you know, that is the reason why we are on the air right now. We haven't had the report of an actual tornado touching the ground, but with the wall cloud, the funnel cloud, we need to take this situation as if a tornado could come down at any given moment if one has not already. So there you go with the latest tornado warning. As the tornado threat starts to move east, you'll notice that some of the communities get trimmed out of that. So Lancaster County, again, this is out of your area. Even now, East Nottingham, the worst of this is to your east. So this tornado warning is until 8 o'clock tonight. The potential is there for small hail. We haven't seen a whole lot of hail with this, and really this is the only thunderstorm cluster that we've seen with a good bit of lightning associated with it. And there we go. We've got a couple of hail tracks with this storm, up to about ½ inch hail. So This thunderstorm has been one of the stronger storms that we've seen all night tonight, moving from Lancaster into Chester County, continuing to move its way east at about 20 miles per hour. So the worst of it now out of Upper Oxford, also East Nottingham, and we're looking at this general area here in Chester County right now. So we're able to kind of zoom in to get some of the roads that are in this area. And I'm going to step out of the way just so I can read some of them and see State Road. We're looking at Schoolhouse Road, Penn Green Road, Newark Road, Good Hope Road, and there you can see Paul just populated a few more communities. 750 in the Chesterville area, 808 in Corner Fetch, 811 at Meadowbrook. But at this point, this tornado warning is until 8 o'clock tonight. As we've seen with a lot of the tornado warnings this evening, the National Weather Service may extend this a little bit farther into and this would go into Newcastle County, Delaware, if they decided to do that. But right now, most of this warning is for Chester County.
So a new update, it's moving southeast at 15, and it's near Kemblesville in Chester County.
Kemblesville. Okay. So these storms have been moving somewhat due east today, but this latest update has this moving southeast, and that's what you can kind of see. This is a 30-minute radar loop, so you can see how this storm has kind of shifted a little bit to the farther south and east. And this is moving at 15 miles per hour. It's not moving very quickly, but the tornado threat is still there. And as we look at the relative velocity, once again, this is a radar product that we use to look at where there could be a tornado based off of rotation. This is probably one of the stronger couplets that we've seen, the strongest rotation signature that we've seen so far this evening with this cell here. If there is a tornado, it would be between London Grove and New London. Again, we're looking at Chester County, and that's just based off of this product that we're looking at. If there were to be a tornado, it would be right in here. So Paul's going to put a tracker on this right now, moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. Right now, the time is 7:44. If I ever read off your community, please, please, please be in your safe location, which is a basement. 746 in Wickerton, 810 in North Star, and 813 in Hockessin. That is assuming that they might extend this tornado warning a little bit more, especially if we're seeing some of that rotation. And it looks like the area just south of Wickerton around Janine Way, you are in the worst part of this storm right now. Chesterville Road, also Penn Green Road, Newark Road, you are in the path of this severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado here. So you can see on Storm Tracker 6 live radar, we're looking at a pretty confined area here throughout Chester County. This red polygon being the tornado warning that's out there right now. You can see there's a lot of heavy rain associated with it. We've got the lightning. This has had a history of producing hail. And here you can see some of the rainfall rates. Earlier today, we were talking about how the dew points are in the mid-70s. There's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere today, and you can see some of the rainfall rates, 1.5 to over 2.5 inches per hour. That would be if the storm were to sit in one spot and not move. It's not doing that right now, but we know that this is only moving at about 15 miles per hour. So they're getting drenching downpours at this moment, in addition to that tornado threat. And then we did have that funnel cloud and wall cloud reported not too long ago. In the area of Lincoln University, this report came through at 7:29, so just over 10 minutes ago. A spotter reported a rotating wall cloud with a funnel cloud at this location. So a lot to unravel here on this 4th of July weekend. We hope that everybody is safe at home as we continue to monitor the severe weather across our area. We do have that one tornado warning, but you'll notice our entire viewing area is under a severe thunderstorm watch until 11 o'clock tonight. We're looking at storms that can produce isolated tornadoes, damaging winds gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour. The threat is there for hail, but then also as we went through the rainfall rates, we could have downpours that lead to flash flooding. That doesn't exactly fall into the criteria of why a severe thunderstorm watch gets issued, but the potential is there for excessive rainfall rates today. So here's a look at just the entire viewing area right now. The worst thunderstorm activity is across Maryland at this point. As I mentioned, we'll have to watch and see if this maintains its strength as it moves into Delaware. Right now, it's west of Kent County, Delaware. And then here, that's where we have our one tornado warning. So just within this cluster here, moving southeast of Baltimore within the last 15 minutes, just to put into perspective how intense some of these storms are, there have been over 230 lightning strikes with this storm. So we're going to have to see again if that maintains its intensity as it moves its way east into Delaware. In the short-term period, Delaware as a whole, the main threat is just off to your west with this tornado warning that we've been following from Lancaster County and through Chester County. And this tornado warning continues until 8 o'clock tonight, and we're going to be staying on the air until the National Weather Service decides to expire that warning or if they issue any additional warnings here. So there you go. You can see the red polygon with that tornado warning continuing. The Kemblesville area, West Grove, you're just kind of hugging the line of Chester County and into Newcastle County, Delaware. This can bring up to about quarter or so size hail, but the main threat at this point is that tornado potential. How's the, let's take a look at the relative velocity, Paul, and see if that looks any different. It's pretty muddy looking. Yeah. Now, is the Kemblesville area, is that kind of southeast of New London?
Correct.
Okay.
Kemblesville, somewhere in this little area
so
here.
Somewhere in this area.
Where there's a little broad rotation.
Yeah, it's not the strongest. We're not exactly seeing a couplet. We're seeing some broad rotation. So if there were to be a tornado, we would be looking at the area east of New London, and that's why the storm trajectory, the storm path has kind of shifted a little bit. It was moving due east, now it's moving southeast. I'll step out of the way here. This is assuming this thunderstorm, severe thunderstorm, continues this path. Right now it's 7:50. We're looking at Corner Ketch at 8:05, North Star at 8:09, Pike Creek at 8:14, and Skyline Crest at 8:18.
And Brittany, when you talk about the timing for lifting the tornado warning, what is that based on? Is it based on the possibility of it falling apart? Is it based on it going out to sea?
It's based off of the thunderstorm, where it's going to be by that timestamp. So when we read off the communities, that's when that thunderstorm that's capable of producing a tornado is expected to move over those areas. And we're able to kind of populate that information from the movement of the storm. So we know it's moving southeast at 15 miles per hour, and that's how we're kind of able to get those communities listed for people to know, hey, this is moving your direction.
So it's expiring for one area, but it could be raised for another area afterward.
That's right. I mean, it's all dependent on what the National Weather Service decides to do. We do not issue tornado warnings. They might decide the threat is still there, let's extend this farther into Newcastle County. So it's kind of a wait and see to see what they decide to do based off of. They're looking at some of the same products that we've been looking at, the storm relative velocity. They're looking at the rotation that's out there. So they're factoring in several different things to determine if they need to extend the warning.
Yeah, the only reason I bring it up is because I see it moving. It says 8 o'clock is when it's going to expire. That's 9 minutes away, and it's heading right for New Jersey. It's going to cross right over, and it seems like it'll be an issue just from a novice's perspective once it moves across the river.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, like I said, a wait and see. That's why we were looking at some of the cells farther south into Maryland, too. There's a lot of lightning, but you also have to take into account what the environment, what the atmosphere is like in that particular area. There could be a more unstable air mass across Maryland than, say, what there is across central Delaware or by the time it crosses the water into South Jersey. So, you know, you wait and see what could happen in that particular situation. So this is what I was mentioning. We've been watching this cell also moving out of the Baltimore area. At one point it had 237 lightning strikes in 15 minutes. Now it's at 139. Doesn't exactly downgrade the situation, so to say, but you know, as it goes over water, we have to see what that can do and if it will cause any weakening. That area is just a cluster of severe thunderstorms. So we were looking at the hail tracks there. A little bit of hail as this storm moved from Lancaster County and into Chester County. Not a significant amount of hail, but we've had hail, we've had the lightning, and then we've also had those rainfall rates of around 1 to over 2 inches per hour. So some of the hailstones that might be falling in this area, you're kind of looking at pea to marble size hail. You know, it goes to show that this is a strong thunderstorm moving its way through Chester County. Also looking at some of the rainfall rates, some of the colors where we're starting to get those whites popping up, an indication that we're seeing more intense downpours here with the severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. So you're talking about rainfall rates nearly 3 inches per hour. That would be if this cell just sat here for an entire hour. They could get up to 3 inches of rain. We know that's not happening. We know that this is moving at about 15 miles per hour, but that's fairly slow as far as movement is concerned. So here is a look at the polygon once again of this severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado in the area of Chester County, moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. Excuse me. Right now we would be looking at the inflow area into the storm just to the east of New London. So we're highlighting the Chesterville area. You can see a couple of the roads there: Chesterville Road, Good Hope Road, Broad Run Road, Penn Green Road.
Really quickly, Brittany, I want to go over the difference once again between a watch and a warning. This is a tornado warning, and so because of that, take it seriously. This is not something to gloss over at all. Find a location as low as you can possibly find. We've been saying it before, a basement below ground, something in the lowest floor, the best you can do if you don't have a basement, and put as many walls between yourself and the outside as possible and avoid windows at all costs. Tornadoes can be obscured, as we mentioned before, by rainfall, nighttime. Don't wait until you see a tornado. We want to make it clear. We have not had any reports as of right now of anything touching the ground. There have been some sightings of funnel clouds in the sky, but right now, as of right now, we've not had any reports of anything touching down to the ground. Right, Brittany?
That's right, Walter. And at least as far as I know, Paul, you can correct me if we're wrong. We've only had the funnel cloud reports as we continue to watch this tornado warning. So he just gave me the thumbs up. So we haven't had any confirmed reports of tornadoes. And right now the time is 7:55. So right now it's kind of the critical moment. The National Weather Service is determining whether they're going to allow this to expire, or within the next couple of moments we might see another red polygon start blinking should they decide to extend this tornado warning. And if they were to do so, it more than likely would be into parts of Newcastle County, Delaware. So we're going to wait to see what they decide to do with that. I wouldn't be surprised if they extended the tornado warning, but I'm also not the person that's making the decision to issue the tornado warnings here. So again, this is a cell that we're watching throughout parts of southeastern Chester County. This cell moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. We've been watching this as it's been moving from Lancaster County into Chester County. And here we can put a few more towns on the map. 805 in Corner Catch, 808 in North Star, 814 in Pike Creek, Heritage at 820, and Manette Heights at 824. Again, at this point, we are waiting to see if the National Weather Service is going to continue this tornado warning into parts of Delaware. The cells that we were tracking a little bit earlier today, they have weakened. We're not even seeing any lightning associated with it. These are just now heavy downpours and maybe briefly gusty winds moving through the Lehigh Valley and also through parts of Montgomery County. This cell also worth watching. That's been moving out of the Baltimore area. A lot of lightning associated with it. Still going to see how this moves into Delaware. And if it were to do so, likely moving its way through Kent County. This also kind of looks like it's taking the same path of somewhat of a southeasterly movement. So we'll be watching this as well to see what unfolds with that situation. The severe thunderstorm watch continues until 11 o'clock tonight, and we will continue to watch the potential of the isolated tornado threat, the damaging winds. Hail so far has been relatively small, and at this point we haven't had any kind of flooding issues in the area with any of these thunderstorms. So that's good news, but we still have a few hours to go watching the severe weather potential across our viewing area here. And
new tornado warning.
As expected.
And they're saying that public confirmed the tornado via picture sent in by social media near New London.
Okay.
And they're expecting it near North Star right now.
Okay. So you just heard Paul read the latest update from the National Weather Service. They are issuing a tornado warning into the rest of Chester County and into Newcastle County, Delaware. That is based off of a social media picture of a tornado. So we now have visual confirmation that was sent into the National Weather Service. So like I've said all night tonight, you always want to treat a tornado warning as if a tornado is happening. And that's exactly what's happening across parts of our area. A tornado has been confirmed. Did you say the New London area or New Garden area?
New London area is where they got the picture from.
Okay.
They're saying it is near North Star, near Newark, Delaware as well.
Near North Star, Newark, Delaware.
Yeah.
Okay. By any chance, does the report populate into the system yet?
It does not. It's just
Okay.
part of the warning.
Okay. So you have London, Britain right in here. You have the county line right here of Chester County. So now this is crossing into Delaware. Like I just said a couple of minutes ago, I wouldn't be surprised if they continued this tornado warning into Delaware, and that's exactly what they're doing now into the Newcastle County area. So time right
North
now.
Star. There's that North Star area.
Okay, so it was right over North Star?
Correct.
Okay, so the tornado, we assume right now the tornado is right over North Star. That is based off of the fact that the National Weather Service has received a picture of a tornado. So you can see the communities on the list there. 806 North Star, it's over you right now. Hopefully you're in your basement or your safe location. 811 in Pike Creek, Heritage at 8:15, 818 in Hyde Park, the Cedars at 8:21, and Ellesmere, Delaware at 8:26. Again, if you are still with us here on the air, we are following this tornado that has been confirmed to the National Weather Service based off of a social media picture. So there we go. This came in at 7:49, so 11 minutes ago. Someone from the public sent in a photo on social media of a probable tornado on the ground near New London. And that is why this tornado warning has now been extended. And looking at the storm relative velocity product, we've been looking at this all night. This is the area that we're looking at right in here. That picture around London, Britain, The rotation right now, pretty good rotation signature over your area or just due east of London, Britain, of where that tornado would be. So kind of looking between London, Britain and the Hockessin area with the wind movement showing us winds moving toward the radar and away from the radar, showing us where that spin, where that rotation in the atmosphere is right now. So this is the area that we're looking at with that rotation moving from Chester County now east into Newcastle County. This right over the North Star area. I'm going to step out of the way just so I can see some of the roads on here. Broad Run Road, Doe Run Road, Valley Road, North Star Road. I mean, this tornado is right over you at this moment. So if you haven't done so already, move yourself away from the windows, move yourself into a closet, your bathroom. I assume at this moment we are streaming live on our 6ABC app. You don't have to stay in front of your television. If that's not where your safe location is, grab your mobile device, grab your tablet, and head into a safe location, because again, this tornado, a picture was sent in to the National Weather Service. So right now it is 8:02, 8:04, we're still looking at the North Star area. 8:12 in Heather Valley, 8:18 Spring Valley, 8:22 the Cedars, Avalon at 8:25, that is in Avalon, Delaware, and then we are looking at 8:29 in Ellesmere.
Brittany, quick question. This is separate, right? This is separate from what you were talking about before. Is this a different cell?
So this is the same cell that moved from Lancaster County into Chester County, and now it's moving southeast into Newcastle County. So we've been following the same cluster of thunderstorms.
So this is not the one you showed that was separate, that was further south down in Delaware with all those lightning strikes?
No, that's not a tornado warning. So that's just a cluster of severe thunderstorms that we're going to have to watch and see how that moves into central Delaware.
I only bring it up because it seems like it's moving in a different direction than it seemed to be moving earlier. It seems to be moving further south.
So this was once moving due east, and now it's moving farther southeast. There's another cluster of thunderstorms I think you might be talking about.
That's what I was talking about.
So
they're separate.
These are two different areas. This is a severe thunderstorm warning moving east of the Baltimore area. This could move into parts of southern Kent County, but it's still a little ways away at this point. So at the present moment, the most immediate concern is the red polygon, and that is the tornado warning for parts of Chester counties, that's in Pennsylvania, and then into Newcastle County, Delaware. So I-95, you know, that's one of your roads there. I think you have just maybe 202 that runs through Delaware. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Route 1 runs through northern Delaware. So we're looking at a highly traveled location. This also now includes the Wilmington area. So like I've been saying all night, we can never reiterate the safety information too much. You want to stay away from the second story. Most of the damage occurs on the top floor. So that's why we always talk about getting into the lowest level. You want to get into the most interior room. You can see the living room, that's X'd out because it has all of the windows. The kitchen also kind of X'd out because it has windows. And you know, the dining room area, that one little closet area, maybe you have a pantry, a bathroom, that interior hallway, your coat closet, anywhere away from windows, you want to get low and stay there. Cover your head until the tornado threat is no longer out there. And we will be staying on the air until the tornado threat is no longer out there. I believe we've been following these tornado warnings now since probably around like 6:15, 6:20 this evening. We've just had multiple cells capable of producing a tornado. We've had reports of funnel clouds with several of the tornado warnings, but at this moment, the only tornado warning is for Chester County, southeastern Chester County, and then here into Newcastle County, Delaware. This is until 8:30 tonight, and then we wait and see what the National Weather Service decides to do, whether they're going to extend that warning or expire the warning. So we've gotten a couple of different reports. These have gone to the National Weather Service, and we're able to populate them into our system. So you can see the report that came in at 7:49, so just about 15-20 minutes ago. Someone from the public sent in a photo via social media of a probable tornado on the ground near New London. I assume they're using the word probable because, you know, they probably didn't get a chance to independently verify exactly the proof of the picture and where exactly it is, but based off of that social media picture, they're using that as a frame of reference to continue this tornado warning from Chester County now into Newcastle County. So there you have the Hockessin area. Still a lot of lightning with this cell, so it's still maintaining its strength at this hour. Maybe we can there we go. We can look at some of the lightning strikes, although not as impressive as some of the cells that we're seeing to our south. Within the last 15 minutes, we're still looking at about 14 lightning strikes in this area. So that's why not just with the tornado threat, you want to be in a safe location, but also we know how dangerous lightning can be.
Brittany, with that said, I'm sorry. With that said, what does it take to formally confirm a tornado has touched down? We have a photograph that went to the National Weather Service, but in terms of the formal declaration that it was a tornado that touched down, what's the process behind that?
So the protocol usually is they'll get their damage reports that come in. You know, maybe there's trees down, wires down, and typically if they get enough reports, and in this case, maybe using that picture as a frame of reference also, usually the next day, just because at this point it's after 8 o'clock at night and it's going to be dark soon, usually the next day they go out and they investigate that area. So they might go out tomorrow, send a crew of meteorologists to investigate maybe where that picture was taken, or they'll investigate where there could be reports of trees and wires down. So that's what they use to officially determine where a tornado occurred, and then they use the damage that they find to basically rank the tornado on the EF scale. If it was an EF0 tornado, an EF1, the amount of damage that they find, they're able to put basically the wind scale. So with minor tree damage, you might be looking at 70+ mile-per-hour winds. They might rank it as an EF0 tornado, but it's all based off of their assessment typically the next day, or if there is later in the day that they can go out.
And also the damage indicates whether it was a tornado, whether it was straight light winds, whether it was a microburst. That's really the main crux of what they're looking for in terms of the damage, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I don't know all of the training that goes into the National Weather Service doing these damage assessments, but typically when you have straight line wind damage, you have a lot of trees and debris all going in one general direction. Usually you hear us talk about a wall of wind when we're talking about straight line winds. A lot of times with straight line winds, you just have all of these trees and damage going the same way. Now with a tornado, you might have a tree going this way, you might have a tree going that way, and those are just some of the things that they consider when they're looking at the damage after thunderstorms like this. So that's kind of how they assess what happened. At this point, really the worst of the severe thunderstorm, bringing the tornado risk, is moving out of Chester County at this point. So this is more of an issue for Newcastle County, Delaware. Right now the time is 8:10. We're looking at Heather Valley at 8:12. 8:18 Hyde Park, 8:21 in the Cedars, Ellesmere at 8:29, Ellesmere 8:26, 8:29 Canby Park Estates, and Wilmington at 8:34. You know, that of course being the largest populated area within that tornado warning. You still have a little bit of time, but now is the time. Don't wait. Get in your safe location and just stay put until the tornado threat is no longer there. There's a little bit of rotation that we're seeing in the area right now on our relative velocity product that would be right around the Hockessin area. So again, at this point, it looks like the worst of the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is crossing into northern Newcastle County, Delaware. So we're looking at right in here around the Hockessin area of where that possible tornado is at this point. So I mentioned Hockessin, I also mentioned the Cedars. You can see some of the roads there: Yorkland Road, Brackenville Road, Mill Creek Road, Barley Mill Road. I'm seeing Lancaster Pike on there. And you still have a little bit of time, but I-95 in Newcastle County, Delaware is included in this tornado warning, and that does include the Wilmington area. So now is the time. Don't wait. We read off the timestamp in your community. Now's the time to get in your safe location and just stay put as this dangerous storm continues to move through the area.
So we just got an update, Brittany.
Okay.
And they're saying that the probable tornado is in this area here near Pike Creek.
Okay.
And it's moving east at 20.
Okay. There we go. So you just heard Paul, the update from the National Weather Service. The probable area is Upper Pike Creek, or the Pike Creek area, moving east at about 20 miles per hour. So this actually, this populates a few different more towns. Hockessin, you're still in the warning, but it looks like the warning now, Paul, is kind of going a little bit farther south.
Correct. I'll pop out here in 1 second.
Okay, so 8:19, you have Arundel, 8:22 in Hyde Park, the Cedars at 8:26, Avalon, that's in Delaware, 8:29, 8:34 in Ellesmere, and 8:38 at Canby Park Estates in Newcastle County. So just getting an idea of the updated polygon. Again, I mentioned Chester County, how the worst of this is out of your area. We're primarily at this point looking at Newcastle County, Delaware, with that latest update from the National Weather Service. And the area in particular that they're concerned about is in Pike Creek. So just to the south of Hockessin. 8:30 is the time that we're looking at with this tornado warning. Now, Paul, did they say if anything was confirmed, or that's just where they believe it would be over?
Right now they're saying radar indicated.
Radar
again.
indicated, okay. And that too, when we talk about how things are radar indicated, you just always assume that a tornado could be happening at that moment. So again, we're looking at Newcastle County, Delaware here with this severe thunderstorm that's capable of producing a tornado. You can see this includes a good portion of the northern half of the county, including I-95, Newport, Pike Creek, Tybrook, Wilmington. You are still in this tornado warning. Also, right around the Christiana area, you're kind of on the northern fringe of this warning, and then the Buttonwood area that kind of just literally butts up to the bay there.
So we just had a new storm report here.
Okay, so a new storm report. Again, this is the same cell that we've been following that did have a funnel cloud around Lincoln University in Chester County. This around the Landenberg area, report of thunderstorm wind damage, a report of small funnels around Landenberg with tree limbs down, but no major tree damage. So, you know, we know that there's strong enough winds that went through that area. This report isn't exactly saying a tornado went through this area, but we know that the winds were strong enough to at least bring some tree damage in that area. So that was the newest report that we got from the National Weather Service with this cell that we've been continuing to track on the air for a while now. This is the same cluster of thunderstorms that moved from Lancaster County into Chester County, and now we continue to watch this tornado warning as it moves its way through Newcastle County, Delaware. This cell is moving just to the south and east, and we are looking at some pretty populated areas here. And no matter the population, people live in all of these communities, and we want to make sure that everybody's getting the information that they need to make sure that they and their families are safe. It's a big holiday weekend. The latest update we had was right over the Pike Creek area. So here we go. I'm going to step out of the way. What to do during a warning. Seek shelter now. You want to go to a basement, closet, or an interior hallway. You know, the basement is the best place you can be if you have a basement. If you don't have a basement, you're not out of luck. The closet or an interior hallway, just as good of locations that you can be. You want to avoid.
You know, if nothing else, this really shows the importance of taking these warnings very seriously, because if in fact there was that one tornado, the people in that area were not heeding the warnings, they put themselves in harm's way. And so this is something that we want to avoid as much as possible. We wouldn't go on the air and stay on the air if this wasn't important and serious. So for those of you who live in these areas that Brittany's talking about, please heed the warnings. Do the things that she's saying. Protect yourself, protect your family. Everything else can be replaced. Just find some place where you can be safe and keep yourself and your family as far away from the situation as possible by doing and following those safety tips that Brittany just mentioned. Please.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you have severe weather or even when you have tropical weather, you always hear from people, I should have done this, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have rode out the storm. Don't be one of those people. Just, it's a couple of minutes that you have to stay in one location. Just make sure you are staying safe as these storms are dangerous. They have had a history of producing funnel clouds. We had the social media report that came into the National Weather Service of a probable tornado. So this is a very dangerous situation. Here we have the tornado warning over Newcastle County, Delaware, and we have this zoomed out now because this cluster of thunderstorms that we've been watching moving east of Baltimore now has a severe thunderstorm warning into parts of Kent County, Delaware. So we're going to be watching this. It looks like it's kind of moving just to the southeast a little bit. We'll be watching that cluster of thunderstorms, making sure that hopefully it just stays a severe thunderstorm warning down there toward the Kent County area. But in the short-term period, this is the area that we're watching, Newcastle County, Delaware. The update that we had a couple of minutes ago mentioned the Pike Creek area. You can see that the worst of the cell is shifting now a little bit farther east. So kind of shifting now east of Pike Creek and Hockessin. You can see the latest track that we've just put on this here. This does take us over the I-95 stretch in Delaware. So here's your most recent update. 821 in the Cedars. You have Avalon in Delaware at 824, Ellesmere at 827, 830 at Canby Park Estates, and South Wilmington at 837. So we continue to look at a few different radar products. Not the strongest view of rotation, but still some rotation. As I just mentioned a couple of moments ago, this now shifting just east of the Pike Creek area. So we're looking right in here. If there's a tornado, this is the area that we're most concerned about at this moment. So right over the Hyde Park area, you have Stony Battered Road, Old Capitol, one of the old Capitol roads there. You have Barley Mill Road, and also the Centerville Road. So if you're listening right now from Newport, Ellesmere, anywhere near the Lancaster Pike, this is just a couple of minutes to your west. Our relative velocity product is showing us that there is at least some broad rotation right now in the area of Hyde Park. This is Newcastle County, Delaware. This is a dangerous situation. You want to make sure that you're in your safe location. Although it's not the strongest rotation signature, there is some rotation in this area around the area of Hyde Park. So we'll put another tracker on this, moving this east or southeasterly at 20 miles an hour or so. 825 in Avalon. I've mentioned the Ellesmere area. Canby Park Estates at 832. Wilmington, right now it's 820. Don't wait until 838. Get in your safe location now. Landleth, 841. And we have Edgemoor, Delaware at 846. So we are basing those communities off of the relative velocity product that we've been looking at all night, and it's probably a radar product that you're getting more familiar with as we've had more tornado warnings in recent years. That product just kind of gives us an idea of where there is some spin in the atmosphere and some rotation. The potential debris product, I haven't seen a whole lot with this tonight, Paul, and that's good.
Yeah.
When we see potential debris, it's the correlation coefficient. A lot of times you have the scattering of potential debris that might be lofted into the atmosphere. Thousands of feet into the air sometimes. We're not seeing any of that being indicated, so that's a good thing. If we did have a strong tornado in our area, you would see some debris on that product. So we're not seeing that. So that's good news to report. But this cell is still rather strong, moving its way through New Castle County, Delaware, with that wind kind of feeding into the storm around the Albertson area. So again, I-95, Walter's been mentioning it tonight. You do not want to be in a car. You do not want to be in your vehicle. That's really one of the most dangerous places you can be in a situation like this. So a few more towns. 826 Canby Park Estates, South Wilmington at 8:32. I think that time is now a little bit sooner than what initially we thought. 844 in Carneys Point, Rains Corner at 8:47. So there you can see the severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado that we continue to track on the air for you here on 6 ABC. Intense rainfall rates with these storms that are moving through New Castle County, Delaware. This is as if the cell were to sit here for an hour or so. We know that's not happening, but if it were to do so, you'd be talking rainfall rates 2.5 to 3 inches per hour. These cells have been moving pretty slow, so the areas under the tornado warning right now are getting just torrential downpours. We've had dew points today in the 70s, a very tropical air mass, and that's just kind of, it's like a sponge right now, just wringing out a sponge with those rainfall rates, 2.5 inches to 3 inches per hour. So we are watching this tornado warning here on the air. It's 8:23. This tornado warning is until 8:30, but as we've seen all night, we have to wait and see what the National Weather Service is going to do, if they are going to extend this warning farther to the east. So Hockessin, Pike Creek, this is now to your east. We are going to have to watch to see how this cluster of thunderstorms might move into parts of, looks like parts of, is that Salem County?
Yep.
Salem and Gloucester County. We're going to have to watch that as it crosses over into potentially another state. That's going to be a wait and see. Again, we do not issue tornado warnings. We just follow suit with what the National Weather Service decides to do once they issue their warnings here. Farther south, we're continuing to watch this cluster of thunderstorms that's been moving through Maryland. This has weakened pretty significantly. We're starting to lose some of that daytime heating element. The time right now is 8:24. I assume it's getting dark outside right now, so you're starting to lose some of that daytime heating. Not as much lightning as what we had earlier, but this is still going to be some thunderstorm activity moving into Kent County, Delaware. I imagine winds up to 60 miles per hour, maybe even some pea to quarter-size hail within that cell. And we still have severe thunderstorm watches until 11 o'clock. We're not completely in the clear just yet with severe weather. We still have a few more hours to go where we'll have to monitor that threat for an isolated tornado. We'll have to monitor for severe thunderstorms that could produce damaging wind gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour. And then also that hail threat that hasn't been too significant. We also do have a flash flood threat, but with these storms, you can see there's not a ton of them. But any thunderstorm could produce a lot of rainfall. And you can see what looks like a line that's starting to form. We'll have to watch this area too as it moves its way through the Poconos and Schuylkill County. We'll have to see. Some of the modeling was showing that maybe this fills in a little bit more later on this evening. We'll have to see how this presses its way into the Lehigh Valley. But at this point, this is not a severe threat in the short-term period. In the short-term period, we're continuing to watch this tornado warning that's moving through New Castle County, Delaware. Really the worst of it now pushing into the Wilmington area. So, you know, earlier we were talking 8:32 in South Wilmington. The time now is hopefully that you are in your safe location as this is moving over Greenville, Delaware, also Wilmington. Lancaster Pike being one of the highly traveled roads, Rockland Road, Barley Mill Road, Centerville Road, Owl's Nest Road. Again, this is right over the Greenville area, North Bancroft Parkway, North Washington Street, and obviously Wilmington is a huge city in Delaware. We're not able to see every single road that's in there, but if you live in the Wilmington area, you need to be in your safe location. And there you can see just some of the hyper-local communities: Martin Luther King Boulevard, North Jackson Street, 11th Street, North Washington Street. These are just some of the communities that are going to be in the path of this thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. Right now it's 8:26 in the evening. This tornado warning is until 8:30. Just like all of the warnings we've seen this evening, we will have to wait and see what the National Weather Service decides to do and whether or not this particular cell will maintain its strength. And if they were to reissue a warning, we would be looking kind of right in here into Salem and Gloucester County, New Jersey. So
they just put out a statement saying they're going to let the warning expire at 8:30.
Okay, so you might have just heard Paul on his microphone. They are going to let this tornado warning expire at 8:30. So we're going to stay on the air just for a couple more moments, I assume, Paul. Will we stay on the air until?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to stay on the air just in case. You never know, things happen. We're going to stay on the air at least until 8:30, until we officially see this tornado warning expires. So that's really some great news, as it's been a very active evening so far. We still have this cluster of thunderstorms, still some intense downpours, thunder, lightning, but they are going to allow the tornado warning to expire. So again, the worst of it going to be pushing its way over I-95 in Newcastle County, Delaware. The severe weather threat, however, has not officially ended for tonight. We are still monitoring for the potential for severe thunderstorms for a few more hours, at least until 11 o'clock. Our entire viewing area under a severe thunderstorm watch. So we've had a handful of tornado warnings already this evening. If there's any additional ones, you'll hear us popping back up on the air. But at this point in the short-term period, we're mostly just looking at thunderstorms, some severe that are going to be moving into parts of Kent County, Delaware. But this tornado warning over Newcastle County, Delaware will be able to expire within the next 2 minutes or so. So this cell, although they're going to allow it to expire, we will have to see if anything strengthens once it gets over into New Jersey. Again, those warnings are issued by the National Weather Service. All right, so we are going to wrap things up here, and we hope that you all stay safe tonight. Meteorologist Brittany Boyer will be back on the air if any tornado warnings are reissued.